In this video, let's look at 21 money lessons that everybody should know about to become more financially stable and hopefully become rich one day. When I was learning more about personal finance, I found these kind of videos to be quite helpful, and I hope you find this video to be useful as well. Let's begin. Lesson number one is to understand what money means to you. Before you start doing anything with your money, this is the first step. You need to ask yourself, what does money mean to me? Is it more things? Is it more freedom? Is it more options? The answer can be found by reflecting on your personal journey so far and understanding what you really want to do with your money. For example, for some people, money equals more things, so they prioritize making as much money as possible so that they can spend more money. And for some people, money equals freedom, where they prioritize investing and saving over everything else. Understanding this will help you prioritize and take better decisions with your money. So before you begin, ask yourself, what does financial success mean to you? Once you have done that, it's time to educate yourself financially, at least a little bit in the beginning. Maybe start by reading some personal finance books. Psychology of Money is a book that I highly recommend to start with. There's also plenty of other material online, and especially YouTube has so much content that you can spend a lot of time learning. But don't get caught up in learning as much as possible. Learn the basics and get to work. We all know that there's a problem when it comes to financial education in this world, so start by educating yourself. If you're waiting for somebody to come and help you, that might not happen. Once you have done this, it's time to implement some smart money habits. This brings us to number 3, that is pay yourself first. Pay yourself first basically means that before you start paying other people for their services and things, you should start by paying yourselves in the form of savings and investments. A simple way to do this is to automate savings transfers each payday to prioritize saving over spending. Treat savings as a non-negotiable expense in your budget. If you're completely new to money management, start by saving your money and forget about investing for the time being. We'll come to that later. The first step in paying yourself first is to understand what your needs are and what your wants are, because paying yourself first sits right in the middle. Once you have taken care of your needs, pay yourself first. Basically, set aside money for savings and investing. Then you can go ahead with what you want without feeling guilty. When it comes to paying yourself first and understanding your needs and wants, one thing is very important. That is lesson number 4. Bank your raises to avoid lifestyle inflation. You need to always increase your savings rate whenever you get a raise by banking at least half of the extra income. Avoid the temptation to upgrade your lifestyle immediately when your income increases. Lifestyle inflation is something that everybody can fall prey to when they start making a little bit more money. You don't need to always keep upgrading your lifestyle just because you started making a little bit more money. Have some control and don't try to overextend your lifestyle when it's not really needed. The most important thing here is to use raises strategically to reach financial goals faster. Over time, your savings can actually improve your net worth quite a bit, which brings us to the next lesson, that is to track your net worth. I'm a big proponent of tracking your net worth, which is your assets minus your liabilities, to understand where you are in life. It can help you gain a lot more perspectives, look at the bigger picture, as well as keep you motivated in your financial journey. A simple way to do this is to actually use a one-page financial plan and just keep things in order. I actually have a free template that you can use for this purpose. You can actually use your net worth as the key metric when it comes to financial decision making. You should also always remind yourself that just because somebody makes a lot of money does not mean that their net worth is high. It's assets minus liabilities. So if you spend a lot of your money, your net worth may not reach as high as possible. Since I've already brought up liabilities, it's a good time to discuss the next lesson, that is learn to manage your debt wisely. A good starting point is to understand what is the difference between good debt for appreciating assets and bad debt. The most common example you can use for this is good debt is a mortgage where you're acquiring an asset, that is a house. And the most common form of bad debt is actually credit cards, where you get very high interest rates in exchange for assets that do not hold any value. By now we all know that credit cards can be a huge problem if you don't use them wisely. Even worse are buy now pay later solutions. Now I'm not saying don't use a credit card. Credit cards are very important when it comes to building your credit score, so one day you can take on good debt such as a mortgage. What you need to remind yourself is to always pay off your credit card in time. Keep your auto payments on at all times. I'm very proud to say that I've never actually missed a credit card payment. As soon as I get a new credit card, I turn on auto payments and never miss a payment going forward. I never recommend that people use credit cards to buy more things and overextend themselves. Use credit cards for only 2 reasons. One is to get cashback and points, and the second is to build up a good credit score. And if you do have debt such as student loans or credit cards, prioritize paying them off before you start spending more money. You can use any of these methods to actually start paying off your debt. As you're doing all of this, it's very important that we talk about the next lesson, that is to become intentional with your spending. This is a core tenet of financial minimalism, where you understand where you want your money to be going. I'm not here to tell you that never spend your money. That's being cheap. We are not here to be cheap. We are here to be responsible. This basically means that you think long and hard before you start shelling out your money. You can spend money on things that matter to you, such as experiences and traveling, but avoid spending money on every other luxury item that you might want or the new iPhone that comes out. You need to align your spending habits with your long-term goals of building wealth. While you're out there spending money, you can use the next lesson, that is to calculate cost per use. Determine the cost per use of each purchase to assess its true value. For example, buying a $50 shoes that only last 2 months is a worse purchase than buying a $200 shoes that lasts you 2-3 years. So as you see, sometimes it's actually better to spend more money to get the right thing that will last you longer. This is also what I meant by intentional spending. Spend more money but on the right things that hold value over a longer period of time. The next lesson is to plan for life events as well as unexpected events. This one is actually quite a simple one to understand. You need to proactively prepare for significant purchases as well as life events such as weddings. You also need to build up an emergency fund to cover 3 to 6 months of living expenses as well as emergency situations. I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining this because it's quite self-explanatory. Just make sure you're putting some money aside and locking it up in a high interest savings account so that when you need it, it's available. The next lesson is to start investing early, and if you did not start early, start as soon as possible. You need to begin investing as soon as possible to benefit from compound growth. It's a very core tenet of investing. Make investing a priority even if it's just small amounts. Try to establish a regular habit of automatic investments. If you make regular investments, you can actually build up quite significant wealth over a period of time. The next few lessons are actually all about investing, so we are going to go through them pretty fast, starting with understand your risk tolerance. As you start investing, you need to really understand what kind of risk can you actually stomach. You also need to understand the risk that comes with each investment that you undertake. You need to consider your age, income stability, and investment timeline when determining risk tolerance. One thing that you really need to understand is that there's no such thing as a risk-free investment. All investments come with some form of risk. It's up to you to decide what kind of risk can you actually take on depending on the factors that are important to you. One way to reduce your risk is actually the next lesson, that is to diversify your investments. There are many different ways to allocate your money to different asset classes depending on your age, risk factor, and even your location. This is actually a very big topic and there are plenty of videos out there that can help you understand how to diversify into different assets. The most important thing is that you understand the role of each asset class in your overall investment strategy. The next lesson, which is related to investing as well, is to keep your investment costs low. If possible, opt for low cost index funds and ETFs over actively managed funds. You also need to pay attention to expense ratios and fees when selecting investments. Sometimes we all have this urge to start trading a lot, but remember to keep your long-term investments separate from your trading portfolio. Trading can actually come with a lot of fees, which does not mean that you should not do it, but buy and hold is a better strategy for long-term investing. The next lesson that is again related to investing is to invest in what you understand. Now, this does not mean that you should only invest in things you understand today. It basically means that before you invest into something, make sure you understand it. So start by investing in things that you actually understand. If you don't understand a lot today, start by investing in some ETFs and make your way to other assets. Remember to only invest in companies, industries, and products that you actually understand. Conduct research and due diligence before making any investment decisions. And avoid the temptation to chase hot trends or get-rich-quick schemes. Get-rich-quick schemes such as meme stocks are actually the best way to lose your money, and most people are actually losing money on these kind of things. I've actually made several videos on this topic, so feel free to check out some of them. I'll leave them in the description. By the way, if you're enjoying the video so far, hit like and consider subscribing. And now off to lesson number 15, that is consider alternative investments. This can actually be very important, especially if you're younger. You need to consider investing in alternative asset classes as well. You should look at the full spectrum of investments. Look at equities, look at real estate, commodities, and even emerging asset classes like Bitcoin. Some of these investments can be emerging and can pose a lot of risk, but also the reward can be quite high. Personally, I always keep about 5% of my portfolio in Bitcoin because it's an asset class I truly believe in. Now, I want to make it clear that I'm not telling you to go ahead and buy Bitcoin. What I'm trying to tell you is that find the asset class that you understand and believe in and start investing in some of them. While you're investing in all these asset classes, remember the next lesson, that is to invest in yourself as well. Allocate some of your money towards education, skills development, and personal growth. You should also prioritize your physical, mental, and emotional well-being well-being so you can take good decisions when it comes to money. Remember, your goal shouldn't just be to save and invest the money you have today. You should also try to make more money if possible. Try to find better opportunities. Try to enhance your skills if possible. Overall, what I'm saying is try to get paid more for what you do. Talking about opportunities and jobs brings us to the next point, that is learn to negotiate your total compensation. This is a very simple point that you should always strive to get more from your employer. Try to get more in terms of money. Try to get more in terms of bonus, vacation days, or benefits. Generally, look beyond salary and negotiate other things as well. Research market rates for your role and industry to ensure a fair compensation as well. Generally, negotiation is a very important tactic to learn, and you should always strive to get more out of your employer or whatever you are trying to do, even if you run your own business. This is not something you'll be good at from the beginning. This is something that you learn over time. This actually brings us to the next lesson, that is to learn from your mistakes. Remember that in money management, saving, investing, you'll always make mistakes. You'll also lose a lot of money in the process of actually building money, but don't get disheartened. Learn from your money mistakes and keep going. View financial missteps as learning experiences rather than just failures. Analyze what went wrong and identify areas of improvement. And finally, develop a plan to prevent repeating the same mistakes in the future. Now, as I'm talking about learning from your money mistakes, remember there's also other people that you can learn from, especially when it comes to investing. That brings us to the next lesson, that is learn from the investing experts. You need to spend some time studying the strategies and philosophies of successful investors like Warren Buffett. For this, you can read several books, articles, and interviews featuring renowned investors. There's timeless wisdom and alpha available online, and you need to just learn them and start applying to your own life. In this day and age, there's no lack of information, there's only lack of execution. So start learning and start doing as soon as possible. While you're doing all this, remember the next lesson, that is stay the course. When it comes to money management, consistency is the most important thing. You need to maintain a disciplined long-term approach and avoid impulsive decisions. You need to stick to your investment plan, especially during market volatility. And overall, you need to trust the power of compound growth and resist the urge to time the market. Even when it comes to spending your money, you will not do it right the first time, or the second time, or the third time. You might take some time to actually nail it down, but do not give up and keep going. Now, we have reached the last lesson for today, that is to develop a smart money identity. You want to be known as the person who takes good financial decisions because it will help you build accountability. Build an identity around making wise financial choices and surround yourself with like-minded individuals who prioritize financial well-being. This means that you also need to watch out for the friends you're making and the kind of influence they're having on you. My next video is actually all about how your friends influence your financial well-being, so watch out for that one. So those were the 21 lessons that I wanted to share with you today, and I hope they were somewhat useful. I'll make more comprehensive videos on these topics in the future. For now, start improving your money habits, become a better person, and create some long-term goals. I'll see you next week in a new video. Till then, keep learning and stay on top of your finances. Until next time.